Hi everyone, my name is Bridget and welcome to my channel. So this message is on what living in the kingdom looks like. Before I begin, I'd just like to clarify that I do not believe in religion. I believe in God and Jesus Christ, and that Jesus Christ came to show us a way to peace and abundance for all. There was a time when I thought the kingdom of God was something waiting for me in the future. Something I would one day arrive at if I prayed hard enough, healed enough, or became spiritual enough. But as my walk with God has deepened, I have come to see something different. What if Jesus was not only teaching us how to get into the kingdom, what if he was teaching us how to live from it? Many of us spend years seeking God, seeking truth, seeking purpose. We search for the next revelation, the next breakthrough, the next sign we are on the right path. Yet Jesus said the kingdom of God is within you. If this is true, then perhaps the question is no longer, how do I find the kingdom? Perhaps the question becomes, what does life look like when I begin living from it? And perhaps even more importantly, how do we become examples for others who are still discovering it for themselves? Because whether we realize it or not, every one of us is teaching something through the way we live. Not merely through our words, through our presence, through our choices, through our response to life's challenges. People may never remember every speech we give, but they will remember how we made them feel. They will remember whether our lives reflected the truth we claim to believe. Jesus understood this deeply. He never simply instructed people what to think. He embodied what he taught. He became the message, and perhaps that is the invitation before us today. To become living demonstrations of the kingdom, not perfect demonstrations, living demonstrations. The first thing we discover about life in the kingdom is that it begins with transformation rather than performance. Many of us were taught to focus on changing our behavior. Jesus focused on changing the heart. He said that a good tree produces good fruit. Notice he didn't say to tape the fruit onto a dying tree. He taught that transformation happens from the inside out. When the roots change, the fruit naturally follows. This is why our inner work matters. When we face our fears, when we heal resentment, when we forgive, when we become honest with ourselves, when we surrender the false identities we've carried, we are not merely improving ourselves, we are creating the conditions for the kingdom within us to express itself outwardly. And when that happens, people notice, not because we are trying to convince them, but because peace has a presence. Love has a presence. Authenticity has a presence. The second thing we discover is that life in the kingdom is creative. In the book of Genesis, humanity is made in the image of God. And one of the first things we learn about God is that he creates. Not from fear, not from lack, but from fullness. I believe many of us have spent years creating our lives unconsciously, creating from our wounds, creating from our fears, creating from old stories about who we think we are. Yet, when we begin awakening to the kingdom within, something shifts. We start creating from a different place. We create from gratitude rather than scarcity. We create from love rather than fear. We create from possibility rather than limitation. This doesn't mean life becomes perfect. It means we stop allowing our circumstances to determine who we are. Instead, who we are begins to influence our circumstances. Jesus demonstrated this repeatedly. Whether surrounded by storms, criticism, rejection, or uncertainty, he remained anchored in something deeper than external conditions. His inner reality guided his outer actions, and perhaps this is one of the greatest lessons for us. The world does not need more people reacting unconsciously. The world needs more people creating consciously. The third thing we discover is that becoming a way shower does not require us to save anyone. This realization has been incredibly freeing for me. Many people feel responsible for waking others up, trying to convince them, trying to make them see, trying to pull them towards truth. But Jesus never forced transformation, he invited it. He taught in parables that required reflection. He asked questions, he planted seeds. Then he allowed people the dignity of their own journey. This is important because everyone awakens in their own time. You cannot force a flower to bloom. You can only provide the conditions. The same is true for human growth. Our role is not to drag people towards the light. Our role is to become the light. To live in such a way that others become curious about what we have found. To embody compassion in a world quick to judge. To embody courage in a world full of masks. Not because we are better than anyone else, but because we have remembered who we are. The fourth thing we discover is that the kingdom continues to unfold. One of the greatest traps on the spiritual path is believing we have arrived. Yet Jesus continually invited people into deeper levels of understanding. Growth is not a destination, it is a relationship. A living relationship with God, a living relationship with truth, and a living relationship with ourselves, and others. There are new layers to discover, new lessons to learn, new aspects of love to embody. The kingdom is not static, it is alive. And as we continue evolving, our lives become testimonies that transformation is possible, not because we claim to know everything, but because we remain willing to learn. Finally, I believe the greatest way we become way showers is through the quality of our lives, not the size of our audience, not the number of people that agree with us, not how spiritual we appear, but by the fruit we produce. When people encounter someone who has suffered yet remains compassionate, someone who has been hurt yet chooses forgiveness, someone who forces uncertainty yet remains grounded, someone who continues growing without needing to pretend they have arrived. They witness something powerful. They witness the kingdom becoming visible. And perhaps that is what Jesus was inviting us into all along. Not merely waiting for heaven, not merely seeking the kingdom, but becoming expressions of it. Living examples of what becomes possible when God's love transforms a human life. Because the whole world does not need more people telling others where the path is. The world needs more people willing to walk it. And as we do, our lives become signposts, not pointing to ourselves, but pointing back to the kingdom that has been within us all along. So all I can say is that you never ever arrive. There's always deeper layers and deeper understandings. And if you can think about it this way, we were first babies, then toddlers, then teenagers, then adults, then older people. And this is humanity. We are evolving into a different way of being here on earth, which is going to create heaven on earth. So I hope this message found someone today. Wishing you much love. God bless.